Yo, 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 welcome to NS9LIVE. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we got Tyler, we got Jim. We got the three of us for the first time since our last NS9LIVE, which was our over and under predictions, which we're doing pretty terrible on. Except for Jim.
Yeah, speak for yourself. Speak for yourself.
Vince Velasquez is apparently an ace.
I mean,
yeah, we haven't been on
was like 4.49.
Yeah, and
it's
like
not an
it's
ace.
Well, now he's an ace.
Sure.
He's got a lot of leeway now to mess up a bit and for me to still hit that.
Not really, because it's a small sample size. We saw what happened to Oviedo. It rises very quickly.
Well, that's why he got injured.
That's why he gets injured. And yeah, if he's just hurt for the next 2 months and then they can trade him at the deadline and
I think,
boom.
Yeah, you might be right. I think it was just as a Pirate.
Yep.
It was. But we made it. As Kenny said, we're on at 9-ish. And it's 9-ish. So I guess we have a little bit to talk about tonight. The Pirates have had an awful May. And somehow they're in first place still. So like as much as you want to trash them and say like, oh boy, we got a show to talk some negative energy on, they're also in first place. So we're talking about the first place Pirates who have played terribly. So I got like mixed emotions on all of this, but I think what we can definitely do is we're going to talk and discuss the bad Pirates, but like, how can we also maybe fix them? I think us three can fix the Pirates, guys.
There's a lot. There's a lot that needs fixed right now, I think.
DiNardo, do you have a time machine? Because I don't know if we can fix them.
Well, I think we can to a degree. And I think partly we only need to fix them to a degree because the NL Central is garbage.
It's not good.
Yeah.
I honestly, at this point in time, I think the Cubs might be the best team in the division.
In that year and a half rebuild?
Yeah.
That might be fair.
Yeah.
But the way the standings shape up right now, the Pirates, winners of 1 out of their last 10, they remain in first place. They're a half game above the Brewers, 2.5 above the Cubs. The Reds have even gained a little bit of ground, 4.5 back. The Cardinals suck.
Yeah,
and so that's great to see. But you do have to expect that at some point it just starts clicking for them. They'll call up some random 26-year-old minor league organizational depth guy, and he'll come and he'll win NL Rookie of the Year.
Well, now that Wilson Contreras is not catching for them anymore, and he's a DH, yeah, things are better.
There's some other guy down there in the minors that's 28 years old and the best defensive catcher ever that learns how to hit 30 bombs.
Sounds a lot like the catcher that the Pirates have.
I walked into that one.
Close
That's
in
on me,
age.
Jim. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jim. That's on me.
Yeah, Henry Davis is going to be like 30
too.
years old. He's going to have his number retired for Altoona, in the year 2030 after he hits like his 400th home run for the Altoona curve.
He's going to be the Drew Maggi story, but good. Where do we want to go right now?
I don't know. Like, there's a lot of things wrong with this team. I think you got to kind of start with just the offensive depth at this point. I think the pitching during this rough stretch, it hasn't been as good as it was like in April, but it's been passable. There's been some rough starts by a couple guys, but the Pirates haven't been the worst rotation in baseball, for the last 2 weeks. It's the offense that's really causing the problems. What was the stat? They went 11 games It was their longest stretch of games scoring 2 or less runs since like 1988.
Yeah.
Since 1988, there's been a lot of really bad baseball played by the Pirates, and we just saw them do something that they had never done during that time period. That's kind of the level of just how awful this offense has been lately.
Yeah, to touch on that real quick, I think you have to start with the offense because I don't know that there's many teams in Major League Baseball that could deal with the blows the Pirates have taken in the rotation. They've dealt with a lot, all things considered, and somehow the rotation still is keeping this team in ball games for the most part. The offense is clearly the reason that this thing has hit the fan.
For sure. To back up Jim, so in the month of May, the starting pitching for the Pirates, 4.01 ERA, 11th best in MLB. Like, you can't blame them starting pitching.
Yeah, if you're the 11th, number 11 starting pitching staff in baseball, you should win the majority of your games.
Yeah. Especially after you've lost 2/5 of your rotation coming into this year. Not many teams can deal with that. So the pitching depth, I think, is there.
You lost 2/5 of the rotation, but you also lost one of your guys you're hoping that was going to be able to add depth in Michael Burrows, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that could have been him on the mound the other night, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, and there's that's kind of, I think, the place to start is the offense. And, you know, there's a few comments here. The offense in April was doing the little things right. We kind of talk about that a lot, where they were moving runners over when they needed to. They were coming up with a big home run when they needed to. They were bringing in guys who got on base. Since the month has turned to May, we're not seeing that. They're not executing with runners in scoring position. When they do get on base, they're running into stupid outs on the bases. I don't know if I've ever seen a team run into as many outs as this club has in the last 2 weeks. And it's not just caught stealings. Like, it's everything. It's trying to take extra bases when you shouldn't. It's sending runners when you shouldn't. It's being picked off, but the caught stealings are there. You saw a lot of success being like aggressive on the base paths in April, and in May it's been the complete opposite. They almost have been too aggressive. They kind of like they saw the success they had in April being aggressive, and then they've just decided we're just going to be like really aggressive now, and it's not working at all. Defenses are making plays. They're playing some pretty good opponents too, so you got to give some credit to who they're playing. But at the same time, the Pirates are, a lot of these wounds that they're doing are self-inflicted. Like, the offensive struggles are mainly self-inflicted, because even when they do get a chance to score, they're doing something to get themselves out of that scoring position a lot of times. And it's frustrating because it's just kind of snowballing day in, day out. Not hitting with runners in scoring position, running into outs on the bases. We'll get to the defense later, but from an offensive standpoint, those are the two main things. You're not moving runners over, you're not driving them in, and when you do get on base, you're running into outs. You're not going to score runs when you do that consistently over and over again.
Yeah, I think it comes back to, we talked about Sawinski and Connor Joe and guys like that we might have thought were playing a bit above their head, and we knew the league was going to punch back on them. Well, now we're seeing the league punch back on the Pirates just in general. They got to where they are because they were very aggressive on the bases. They had a lot of team speed. The league's kind of figured out what they're trying to do, and the game plan is in effect, and the Pirates have not punched back yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I think, too, you have to equate to injuries. You know, I think the biggest thing we talked about in April was the depth. You know, obviously Austin Hedges was a black hole, but you only had one black hole. That was the biggest difference between 2022 and 2023. Where in 2022, after number 3 in the lineup, it was just a death sentence, more or less. You know, you're waiting till 2 more innings to get back to the top of the lineup. They're very competent, you know, and then the games where you had Jason Delay in, I mean, there were moments where like 1, 2, 3 struggled, but 7, 8, 9, what was that one game? They went like 9 for 12 or something like that, something ridiculous, 7, 8, 9. You know, like, the depth was always there. You had someone that was going to pick up another guy the night. And now in the month of May, you have Hedges, you have Matthias there for how long? You had Andor, like 7, 8, 9 is that black hole again. So that depth in that lineup is just absolutely gone. So now when you have the 1 or 2 guys that are off, that's it. Hayes actually has looked decent in that leadoff role. He had 3 or 4 games in a row. He had 2 hits. If he's getting on base, no one's going to drive him in, because if Reynolds not having a good night, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. The injuries have hurt. I really think the O'Neal Cruz injury too is kind of like bringing into effect a lot of woes that this team has, not only offensively but defensively as well. O'Neal Cruz being at shortstop allows everybody to just play in a position that makes them more comfortable, because we've seen that be a big issue. I mean, that Mitch Keller start in Tampa Bay, if O'Neal Cruz is starting that game, Pirates probably win, and it's just because like Keller's been dominating lately, and the defense completely fell apart. If you have everybody playing in their natural positions, all those errors that happen, maybe they don't happen. So yeah, the Cruz injury hurts, obviously, because then you've got to kind of shuffle around that lineup. You now have Hayes, who you would probably rather have him in like the 7 spot. He's leading off. You've got someone like G1 Bay and Rodolfo Castro, who neither of which are probably every single day players. Like you probably don't want those guys playing 150 games a year, right? But they're now forced into a role where they're playing almost every day. And before, when the Pirates were able to kind of pick and choose when they play guys based on matchups, putting them in situations they should be succeeding in, now you're just seeing people being put in spots where they shouldn't be. And when you have too many people in spots where they shouldn't be in, you're going to have mistakes. You're going to have people struggle. And at this point, there's just too much of that. There's too many people playing outside where they should be playing, just their a basic role on this team. And we're seeing them get exposed.
Just that, the other part of it seems simplistic. In the month or in March and April, the Pirates are 11th in the league in home runs. They're 29th right now. They're not hitting the ball over the wall. It seems simple, but they're not. The power's gone. If you can't hit the ball over the wall, all those little things that you were doing when they're not happening now, it doesn't matter. You can't get that 3-run home run.
And obviously have a stretch where you can't score 2 runs or more than 2 runs. That's probably happening quite a bit. Yeah. But I mean, what I think is funny, and I say this somewhat facetiously, but Jim, who would have thought that we'd be craving for O'Neal Cruz's defense to return? Like that's where they're at right now. Honestly, when O'Neal Cruz went down, that was a big loss because like he's the leadoff hitter. Who are you going to put at leadoff right now with this lineup? The power that's there, how exciting is the stolen bases. And at this point in time, we're wishing his defense was back because exactly like you said, like if he's there, albeit it's not the best defense, it's good enough and it makes everyone else better their spot. And because he's gone, we're trying to find some middle infield to put together. And it's been awful since then. So yeah, like I'm craving O'Neal Cruz to return for his defense.
Yeah. Poor defense, and as the comments are just kind of harping on the runners in scoring position. Pirates were great with that in April, and they are not executing this month. And I don't care what you're doing. You add in the fact that they aren't hitting homers, and you couple that with 6 for 55 with runners in scoring position in the month of May. You're not going to win. Doesn't matter how good your pitching is. Doesn't matter how bad. Doesn't matter what's going on pitching wise. When you can't hit the ball over the fence and you can't drive in runs when they're on base, you're not going to win games.
Right. That Pirate charity sign or whatever the home run tally, whatever it is, needs to be removed and just put 6 for 55. That's it. Like we can harp all we want back and forth, but for God's sake, 6 for 55, that is freaking horrendous.
So you know what's funny about that sign? This is just kind of going back. Remember when PNC Park was built And like everybody was like, "Oh, balls are going to be able to get hit in the river." That sign was for river blasts.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure like no one hit the ball in the river the entire first year. So then they're like, "We probably need to change this sign. We can't just leave it on 0 forever."
And then it took like 3 years to get there.
Yeah, they changed it to Bucko Blasts or whatever.
But I mean, it took like
Bowser
3 years to get into
Bucko
the river.
Blasts. Yeah. Oh yeah, like it took a while, and I think people thought river shots were going to be like a common thing, and it's just not. But that made me think of that. I remember when the park opened, they were like, "We're going to see so many balls hit in the river." Nope.
Well, we're not even seeing balls over the wall right now. There's when your 7, 8, 9 are so bad, it's really hard when 1 through 4 who carry you the whole way are in a slump. That's going to happen. Like, it's going to happen at some point. Some guys are going to struggle. And that's what makes the Austin Hedges of the world look so bad. He looked fine in April when he would bunt a runner over. But right now, he looks like an absolute black hole that we want to ship to Mars. And nothing changed with him. Nothing. Everyone else just got worse.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Hedges hasn't done anything different than what he's been doing all year. It's just when you're winning and people are hitting, you can live with that guy. You can live with the one guy who hits like a pitcher. But when you've got the rest of the lineup struggling, it doesn't work.
Can I add something to that though too? Because I mean, I think it's a very valid point. We didn't harp too much on it because exactly like you said, this lineup had length in April, right? 1 through 8, it's very, very competent. So if your number 9 hitter is going to be incompetent as a hitter, you can live with it. But also, Jim, to the point, this was supposed to be the catcher who you could live with that because defensively, he was on point. One of the better defensive catchers in the league. I know it's fallen off like a little bit over time, right? Like you're not expecting him to be the best catcher, but he's still good defensively. That hasn't been there either. So that's the thing. When you leave time go, and now we're in May, Jim.
Here's the thing. No, I mean, finish your thought.
When he's not even doing his best stuff at that level to at least even some things out. When you are the number 320th worst hitter in baseball and you're maybe just league average at catching, you're a complete deficit now. Like you don't bring any value. And that's the point. Now you're really seeing it. He's really being exposed. And if you're not doing the defensive part, then that's where we have issue. That's why I think you're seeing people talk about myself, like Jason DeLay. Not that Jason DeLay is good, but at least he's the hot hammer now. And you know what? His defense has improved. It's still small sample, but when you look at all the numbers, the blocking, the caught stealing, like everything else, it's Austin Hedges who's dropped, and then Jason DeLay who's like right here. Jason DeLay's bat can be bad. It's still 3 times better than Austin Hedges. And if he's only a slight tier below Austin Hedges defensively, like why is that not happening?
Can I go before Jim does?
Yeah, you can.
Because I know what your thought is going to be, Jim. Jason DeLay's terrible at the plate. But defensively, he might be pretty close to Austin Hedges. I don't think it's that far off. And as you said, Donardo, he is the hot hand. I don't understand how coming out of last year, they go Hedges. When DeLay somehow showed that he was a pretty good defensive catcher, and he would have saved you about $5 million that you could have spent elsewhere. And I'm not getting down the minor league rabbit hole here, but on no planet should Austin Hedges get 5 starts a week, ever. Right now, you have to ride the hot hand, and it's something the Pirates have not done well since I can remember. They will never ride the hot hand. They're going to go with the guy that they assumed was a starter in January.
And
but
before
Jason DeLay needs starts 3 times a week right now until he is hitting as bad as Austin Hedges, basically, which will take him 4 months.
That's all I'm asking for. Like that my point and issue is, how is this not split up more evenly? That's it. I know, and I talk, it's my catcher, right? But he comes up in these big moments in my eyes, and that's why I've talked about. But like, he is not a good catcher. It can take everything in, but his defense has improved, and it was always like his stronger suit, right? It's better than his offense. But like, even his offense at his worst is still better than Austin Hedges right now. That's what I'm getting at. How's it just at least not evenly matched up as far as starts go?
You guys can call me a big dum-dum, but I think that Jason DeLay reminds me of Chris Stewart.
And that's fine. Chris Stewart was a perfectly good backup, but you had Cervelli, who was a good catcher. Austin Hedges is not.
And Chris Stewart actually hit kind of league average. He
did.
sucked, but he did.
I mean, zero power, but he hit
Zero.
bat like 290.
All right, go ahead, Jim. Go ahead and trash.
Yeah, can I go
Jason
now?
DeLay and do your dumb stuff.
No,
whatever.
I mean, no one hates on Austin Hedges here, I think, more than me. I didn't like the signing. Once we found out that, he was going to be the guy, he's clearly not the guy. Yeah, he's had 2 catcher's interference penalties. He had, a bad throw to second. Those are things that stick out. But when you say that Austin Hedges hasn't been good defensively, you're wrong. Like
No. Hold on. I didn't say he's not good. I said he's not as good.
He is.
When you're not he's not bringing $5 million worth
kind
of
of go
defense.
over this. He's the 5th catcher in blocks above average, according to StatCast. 5th best catcher in blocking. He's the 3rd best catcher in framing, according to StatCast. Pop time, he's above average. He's 17th. But
17.
Where's Jason DeLay and all that?
That's
Jason DeLay is below everywhere. Well, there's a lot more than 30 catchers, DiNardo. So Jason DeLay is 19th, is 19th in blocks above average. Jason DeLay is 13th in framing, and Jason DeLay is 36th in pop time. So
I'd rather have that $5 million elsewhere.
I'm not saying that.
I'm saying, how many catching interference?
What I'm saying is, when you say that Jason DeLay isn't good defensively, like you're wrong. Like, you're wrong. Hold on. I let you finish. Let me finish. My thing is, I think if Austin Hedges was performing, and now take this as it is, he's been the worst hitter in baseball the last 5 years. But if he was just hitting at that level, like a 40-something WRC plus, then you know what? Fine. Like, the defense is good enough to make up for the lack of hitting on a team that has other things. Like, you can live with them. But when you're hitting with a 16 weighted runs created plus, the defense just simply isn't good enough to counter that. So all I'm going to say is Austin Hedges is a very good defensive catcher, and you can't argue otherwise. Everything says so. But the offense is so terrible, it doesn't matter.
You just told me his defense is worse than what it has been, and his offense is worse than it has been, and he was a negative WAR player at those levels.
Where did I say that? I didn't say his defense was worse than what it has been. His defense is just as good as it was when we signed him.
And when we signed him, he was a 0 WAR catcher. And
you.
You are handed WAR as a catcher.
So again,
he's terrible.
And now his offense is even worse. So does that even out? No.
All I'm saying is that
Jason DeLay Jason DeLay's worse is 3 times better a hitter than Austin Hedges. Actually, probably more right now.
Definitely more.
And his defense is just a tad under. He brings positive value. Austin Hedges brings negative value. So why is there such a disparity in their starts? I know we're going way too long on this because there's more to talk about, but that's my biggest problem. Neil said, we are truly suffering people that we could win the division and instead get the debate over Austin Hedges and Jason DeLay. But that's part of the issue.
With 2 top 5 prospects in the minors that are
I want to get there at some point. I said we're going to talk about how we're going to fix this.
Okay, so Jason DeLay should be getting the bulk of the playing time behind the plate.
At least 50-50 is all I'm asking for. It shouldn't be 5-1.
Yeah, I agree. All I wanted to do was tell you that Austin Hedges is not a bad defensive catcher. If you say otherwise, then you're just
If I said that, let me backtrack. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying he's not as good as he was.
I think
And
that's fair.
Offense
That's
is
fair.
also
Like
not
in
as good
his
as it was,
prime-
and his
like in his
offense was
prime.
the worst in baseball.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Okay,
I mean,
so he's
it'd be
worse.
great. It'd be great if the Pirates just had like a Reese McGuire or something. But
It would be
that's
real
okay.
nice too if they just had, major league ready catchers in the minors that
Yeah, that'd be
can
great
hit the
too.
ball really well.
I feel like you guys are beating me.
No, but like Austin Hedges,
Speaking of Reese McGuire,
the fact that he is, but I'm Clash. But the fact that Austin Hedges is so good defensively, still, like he did take a step back, but he's still a very good defensive catcher, and still negative value, shows you how atrocious, abysmal, a waste of a roster spot this guy is. He's trash, trash, trash. And you can't tell me that he calls the game well because Jason DeLay's catcher ERA is pretty similar. He does nothing good enough to be on a major league roster. He is dog water. But he's a nice guy, and he signed a few autographs, so I slightly like him. Like, I got to watch him sign some autographs in spring training. I was like, yeah, he might be a nice guy, but he's blows. Big fat ones. He's terrible.
Well, you realize the people who sign autographs are the bad players because they need the fans to like them because they suck. Good players don't have to sign autographs.
Good Lord,
Bad players
he
do.
sucks. Big fat ones. He's terrible.
Can we talk about the elephant in the room now?
The two catchers in the minors.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let Jim do his thing. I'll just hang out.
I want to have a real discussion about this because I feel like I want to preference this because there's something else that's bothering me right now that I just want to get out there and put it in the universe once again, but we don't have to talk too much about it. But do you guys remember when we were talking about how the Pirates should make some moves last year because the NL Central stinks and they could take advantage of it? And you know what? Maybe if they did that last year, then I don't know, those guys would have helped, like the Rodolfo Castro, the way Rodolfo Castro is getting help this year, and the Macarnos and all the younger guys that saw the major league experience and time last year, and they'd still be here this year, and then they would have signed Carlos Santana and Kutch, and I don't know, like taking advantage of this terrible NL Central, that the Pirates find themselves in a position that they're 1-9, and they're in first place in the middle of May. And they have an opportunity to maybe call up two of the three top prospects who are knocking on the door and say, you know what, let's take advantage of this. But they're not going to because they're too afraid that they have to spend some money and do so. They're too afraid of down the line, and they're too afraid that they're not a real team to do it instead of having the balls to do it. Should this team call up one of the two prospects at least right now?
Jimothy.
They should both be promoted, not just one of them. They should both be promoted. You need to cut ties with Austin Hedges. Jason DeLay is your, and you have a 3-catcher rotation of Davis, Rodriguez, and DeLay. And then you move around the other guys, Davis and Endy, on days where DeLay's catching. And Davis can play right field. He can play first base if he wants. Endy can play second. He can play outfield. He can play first base, whatever. That's what I want to see right now. I think eventually, and I get all this talk, yeah, these guys are more valuable as catchers, but at some point in time, you're going to have to figure out a way to play both of them. And they can't both play catcher. So just start it off the bat. The guys are ready to help the team at the major league level. The catching part can come later. I don't care. You're in a position now where you can make some noise in this division, and you've got two guys who can vastly improve this team immediately upon their call up. And they give you things that you need. The Pirates right now could use someone who can hit, who plays second base. You know, they could do that. Andy Rodriguez can hit and play second base. You need somebody who can hit the ball over the fence. Henry Davis can do that. You bring them both up. I don't care about Super 2. I've made my opinions known on Super 2. Super 2 doesn't matter if you have good players and then you just say, hey, you know what? You're a good player. I want to keep you for a while. Let's just extend you. Then you don't have to worry about arbitration or any of this stupid stuff. I don't care that the Pirates might have to pay Andy Rodriguez and Henry Davis more money in 2029 if they call them up now as opposed to waiting 6 more weeks. What's happening right now is the Pirates are in first place and they need offense. They have offense in the minors. They just aren't bringing it up just so they can save money 6 years from now. And that's pathetic. That's pathetic. The goal of this team is to win baseball games. So what are we doing here?
Bernardo, I'd like to hear your opinion.
I have a lengthy one.
Go for it.
What I want to, like, if they called up both catchers tomorrow, by no means am I saying I don't want to see that, right? But I feel like that's not going to happen. And I feel like it's going to be one or the other. So let me also ask you this question, Jim. If it is one or the other, who would you want to see up right now? This is what I'm
If I had to pick one,
yeah,
I'm probably calling up Davis just because of the impact the bat makes.
So I think that's where I'm at. I mean, Endy is the top prospect. He's in AAA. We saw what he did last year, right? His numbers aren't suggesting a call up. Granted, somewhat, the injury that happened and whatnot. Right now, he's come back. He had that the 4-hit night. He's had 2 back-to-back games. We had a double and such. Like it's kind of there, but it's not Henry Davis there. It's nowhere near Henry Davis there. Henry Davis is mashing in AA, and we've talked about AA and AAA as Sherrington has suggested about AA and AAA. Right? He's mashing there. He's knocking on the door for the big leagues. I kind of feel the same way. I kind of feel like I want to call up Henry Davis and keep Endy where he's at, but have a nice conversation with Endy. Sherrington call him up and say, listen, man, Henry's doing his thing right now. It's not that we don't believe in you, right? It's not that we don't, this and that, but you're coming. Your time's coming. Just keep doing what you're doing. Get healthy, blah, 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 right? But Henry Davis is just proving he belongs in the major league the way he's hitting AA right now. But what I think is how I think both can help is not just offense, right? Henry Davis comes in, boom, he's in the middle of your lineup. He brings that power. Probably not the greatest defender in the outfield, right? You know who else isn't? I don't know, Miguel Andujar, who's been playing out there 75% of the games, who also isn't a good hitter. So he helps you out. He's back there at catcher, who's not a good hitter, Hedges. So he's instant impact, and I don't think the defense ain't going to be worse than Miguel Andujar's out there in right field. And he played right field tonight. Maybe they're getting that in their head. I don't know. And then the thing with Endy is if he comes up, hopefully the bat plays. I believe in his bat. The strikeout rate, the walk rate, it's all there still. I'm not worried about him, even though all the numbers aren't there per se. But him playing second base, he doesn't need to be a good second baseman. It's not there now. If you're worried that we can't play the position, well, no one can play it now. But they also can't hit. Can Bay hit? No. Can Marcano hit? No. He also can't throw. So when you want to give Castro a day off or he takes over third, that's when he takes and covers second, right? Or he's back there a catcher. And now I also disagree with you. This is where it's tricky. I want a 3-catcher rotation as well. That's why I also think one of them comes up. But I want Hedges. This is why Hedges is here. He gets 1 start a week. And Endy and Henry are going to learn from Hedges.
That's stupid.
So you'd rather have Hedges and Delay as your third catcher?
My third catcher is Hedges.
He doesn't want to call up Endy yet.
Okay.
Gotcha. It's one of the two. Again,
So
no. I feel it's going to be an if or type of situation. It's not going to be both. And with that being the case, I feel like I still side with Davis, and Davis gets 2 starts at catcher. DeLay gets 2 starts. Hedges gets 1. And then the games that Henry's not, he's in right field or DH.
I think there is something, and this is, I'm playing devil's advocate here. There is something to developing a catcher, right?
Yes.
I think if you're looking at it that way, and you're saying, okay, we need to develop a catcher, the way that I would do it is like you go into this hoping that Henry Davis is your future franchise catcher. Because I think a lot of Endy's value is his athleticism and the fact that you can put him all over the field. I mean, like I said, I've been comparing Endy to Dalton Varsho for 2 years now, right? So like I think I think that's kind of where Endy's value is yeah, you have your everyday catcher who should be Henry Davis, I think, going forward. Then you've got Endy who can spell Henry Davis a catcher, but then you can put Endy at second. You can put Endy in the outfield. You can put Endy at first. You can move Endy around and play him 6 days a week. He's still your backup catcher, right? And then you probably still have like a third catcher on the roster, like who's just there to catch, you know? That's kind of how I vision all of this coming about. Like if in a perfect world, Henry Davis develops as your future franchise catcher, and he's fine defensively. You probably don't even need to be that great defensively as a catcher going forward because automatic strikes and balls are coming, so you don't really have to worry about pitch framing. The bases are so big, and the rules now that, you know what, no one's throwing anybody out anywhere. Like no catcher's throwing anybody out, right?
Unless you're a Pirate.
Unless you're playing the Pirates, right?
Diaz is.
So like you've got that going. So like really, how good of a catcher do you need to be in Major League Baseball going forward? I don't know. I think that's a question that you got to kind of think of. And then you think Endy's skill set just has him in a position where he can do all of these things while also hitting from both sides of the plate. That's where we're looking at in a perfect world. So if you're playing devil's advocate here and the goal is to develop a future franchise catcher, and you need to pick one guy right now to kind of mess up their catcher development for the sake of the team, then that's Endy.
Can I play super devil's advocate?
Yeah.
That's what this show's about.
All right. So the question that you raised, Donardo, was, would you call them up right now? I wouldn't call either up right now because I don't see a point in calling either up right now when we're a month in, maybe 10 days away from Super 2. If I'm in Ben Cherington's position right now, what is the point of calling up either catcher at this point and burning probably another $6 million on them in the future when I could just wait a month and just save a bunch of money for 2029, which we're all on the same page. If we're the GM, we want them up on opening day. But at this point, where we're at right now, there's really no point to me in calling them up, watching them struggle for a couple weeks when we could just say, you know what, if we would have just waited a little while, we wouldn't have to burn that money in the future. To me, it's the same thing as O'Neal Cruz back when I said it last year. If they don't call him up on opening day, there's really no point in calling him up until June because you lose all the draft capital that you could gain. And at this point, there's really no reason. There's no upside of calling them up now. We're like best case scenario, they win Rookie of the Year and we just lose them.
Okay. So let me present this. So let me be super devil's advocate here, right?
I didn't know if Shonikin was here.
This is investment. Okay. You're thinking of this business mindset. You're thinking, why should I do it now? Why don't I wait a month? This team might not have a month to wait. Okay. You are seeing that this division is terrible. Who expected the Cardinals to be where they are? They are not making the playoffs. You can write that team off. Like that's where you're at. You need to be on their throats right now. The Cardinals cutting them off right now. They're so far in a hole, we're going to bury that team. Who's Corbin Burns? Like, where is he gone? Like, look at the Brewers right now. Look, the Reds are still the Reds. I feel like Jim kind of brought up, to me, I fear the Cubs the most in this division right now. It's wide open. And you have these two guys, and especially Henry Davis, the way he's hitting right now, who could be immediate upgrades because Austin Hedges is so bad, right? And like the depth of this lineup is so bad that they could potentially, you're in first place. You call up these guys. You want to talk about excitement. You want to talk about if this team carries this through June and they're still in first place. I'm not saying you're going to bring in hand over fist money, but if you're worried about $6 million, you know how you can recruit $6 million? Being a good baseball team. And if this team can, I'm not talking about being a great playoff contender, but this team can ride out maybe first place long enough or first and second. I'm just saying you're nearing the cusp of O'Neal Cruz now coming back. Like, you have an opportunity. Do you not want your GM, who was just asked if you guys are good and real, and he says, I don't know. Do you not want him to say, you know what? This is May freaking 11th right now. We're in first place at our worst baseball. What if I brought our best baseball? Let me roll the dice and see what happens.
I get that, but how many more wins does a Endy or a Henry Davis bring to you in a month and 10 days? At this point, I don't think enough to make it worth it. And
How many has Hedges and Andor lost you to this point?
I think there's ways around all of that, but is it calling up those two guys? I don't know.
Is it Palacios?
I just don't know
if it Maggi?
Does it bring enough value to this team to call them up for a month and 10 days over what future value it might bring. And I agree with, we're all on the same page here that we think they should have been up on opening, or at least Endy should have been up on opening day. We're all on the same page there. But at this point in the season, I don't know that it's worth it. You might as well just wait.
That's why I disagree. And that's fine. We can disagree. And I'm not saying you don't have a terrible argument. It's bad, but it's not terrible. But I think it's because you're at this point of the season is why you do. Like, this is the moment you capitalize.
You're not sitting in my shoes here. I'm pretending to be the GM.
I understand that. Exactly. I am also the GM, and I'm in first place on May 11th, playing our worst baseball.
You're being a fan. I'm being the GM. I'm smart. You're dumb.
No, I'm a general manager. I got paid to win baseball games.
Not well.
I want a contract extension for that next job. And I'm in first place on May 11th after being 1-9.
Yeah.
Let me get my dogs up here. Let me show this team there's a chance to win. Let me bring my best baseball. Because here's the thing, too. If I can mend this issue I have right now, there's Vince Velasquez coming back. There's O'Neal Cruz potentially coming back. Let me get through this. If those prospects I call up don't work out and we're losing steam, then I send them down or I get my Super 2 back. It's that simple. It's a win-win.
There's no point in calling them up with a month basically left.
And if you're so worried about Henry Davis, who can't catch, getting paid, how much is a DH worth in 2029? Bring him up. He's a DH in 2029.
We're arguing the same point, but I am in the GM position where, well, I've already waited this long. I might as well just wait.
I am in the GM position saying, holy shit, we're in first place, and I was expecting us to be in last.
Yeah,
clearly, because my interview suggested it.
With your guy, Austin Hedges, and Jason DeLay, who you like to roam around and tell us, oh, Jason DeLay, he's so good, guys.
He is.
Jim, did you see what Jason DeLay did today?
He's Mr. Clutch. He's the best hitter on the team. What are you talking about?
Okay, then why are we calling up Endy? We got the best hitter.
He can play second base too. Because he can also play second base.
We got Jason DeLay. We're good.
It mitigates the amount of time Austin Hedges has to be there. He's also playing second base.
We're
So
good. Jason
send-
Delay, we're fine.
send Bay. That's what I'm talking about. This is what I think Endy presents. If you call him up, I'm sending Bay back. He's back to the minors. You know what? And this is also why I talk about, this is also why promoting guys is a good thing. And everyone backs, oh, they're not ready. They're not ready. They're not ready. No, if you bring them up, like, honestly, you learn the best.
This is why I never hire you as a GM, because
do you think
move after bringing up Andy Rodriguez is sending G1 Bay down and not Miguel Andujar or what Chris Owings?
Because here's the thing. Miguel Andujar finally becomes.
Use your words.
Oh, I'm still here. My computer just locked. I've been arguing too much with you and not touching my mouse. So So Miguel Andujar finally becomes an actual true 26 man who doesn't do anything. What everyone said, oh, Drew Magic can be up here because he doesn't do anything.
He's a 40.
He's not.
8th man.
Endy being up here pretty much eliminates Bay's spot for the most part. So, like, you know what? He had a great learning experience.
You big dummy.
Why? Where's he going to play? Center field once a week?
Right field over Miguel Andujar? Or
Bay's playing right field?
Have you seen Miguel Andujar play right field? He's the worst defender I've ever seen in my damn life.
Why does Bay have to play right? Why do you have to get Bay's lineup in the right field?
Because you just talked about Miguel Andujar being a 26 man.
There's
a 26 man is G1 Bay that can actually freaking run.
There's Swinsky, there's Reynolds, there's Kutch, there's Joe. Why do I need Bay there?
Why do I need Andujar?
Because he's not going to play. Get Bay in AAA to actually
piss
develop.
On him. He can stay up here and pinch run.
Holy hell.
You're so dumb.
Okay, then he's here to pinch run. Fine. He's here to regardless, I don't care. It's either what I was saying is because he can play second, I'm going to get Bay out of there.
Well,
if it's Henry Davis coming up,
a person on this roster
because he can play defense.
Can he?
When it's that late inning and you want to move Castro, whoever's on short at that time, then Owings is in there.
Well, we'll talk about him later. I don't want to get into defense too deep. But you're dumb. I'm smart.
As a GM, you're talking, oh, I'm a GM. That's why I'm not going to bring these two up. Piss on you, Tyler.
No, you're dumb. You just said you would send G1 Bay down over Miguel.
If the Pirates are doing what they're doing right now, and they're 5 games behind the Brewers, I'm okay with their suggestion. I'm okay with it. I didn't believe they're a real team.
11th.
They don't have that, but it's May 11th, and they're still in first place right now because everyone's terrible. You have an opportunity here.
Okay. You're so dumb. Just everything else you said after what everything
dumb because
no, I could agree to an extent to what you had already said, but once you got off that tangent and went on something else, you are so stupid. It's not even funny. I don't want to podcast with you ever again. I want to only talk to Jim.
Okay. If you heard what I said, if it was, there's only one guy that has to go.
I hear a lot of dumb things today.
Endy,
that might have been the dumbest.
I'm sending Bay down. If it's Davis, Andor's gone.
Yeah, you're dumb.
Okay.
Sorry, Jim.
Bay loses all. There's nowhere for him to play now.
Yeah, you're dumb.
Casho's playing 6 times a week. Endy's playing 6 times a week. So Wincy's playing at least 5 times a week. Like, Bay's just going to sit there and rot. Which I know.
I'm going to send
in another
a video
sense
later that I can't say on here.
Okay.
I'm
just sending him back to the minor leagues.
You're dumb.
Okay.
You're a big fat dummy.
Okay. Hi, Jim.
Hello.
He was muted.
Yeah, I just put myself on mute the whole time there. I think with the way the division is right now, the 5 weeks before Super 2 matters. And
okay. It's gonna be nice when the Pirates are in second place come August.
Again. Yeah, again, like I would have had Andy up here opening day. And that's what I would
Two
have done.
mistakes don't make a right.
But right now I would call both up. I would call both up today.
You just said you were just siding with Tyler. What are you?
That's
what
not
what
what you
No,
misunderstood.
he never
me.
sided with me.
I said the 5 weeks.
No, he said they
Like,
don't matter. He disagrees with me.
I disagree
fine.
with Tyler. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said they do.
That's
matter.
fine,
I
but he
would
did
call
it.
him up right now.
But and then what did
Okay.
you think about him saying that he would send Bay down for Endy?
No, I would get rid of
aside.
Austin Hedges. I would get rid of Austin Hedges, and I would get rid of Miguel Andujar.
Yeah, that was like the dumbest thing I've ever heard him say.
Well, if you're bringing up 2, then I'm sending Bay down and Miguel Andujar.
Yeah, that's dumb too.
I'm
You're having
keeping
4
Hedges.
catchers.
3.
No.
Oh,
Four.
oh,
you're
Like-
Yeah, you're dumb.
like,
no, damn it, no. I don't know. Actually, someone put on here the IL stint. I'd be cool with that.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, we're arguing
Hedges.
this. It's the decision's already been made. It's not like we're obviously arguing about what we would do. The Pirates are not calling up either of these guys until June 15th ish, right? And it's just they're not going to do it. When I think Neil in the comments here said, let me go up here because you guys fought for like 10 minutes. Neil, here we go. Where's Neil's comment? I'm still scrolling. Here you go. When you never gave a shit about winning this season, then there is no urgency. So at the end of the day, Ben Cherington's not changing his plan because the Pirates are in first place right now. Now, if the Pirates are still in first place come late July, then maybe you probably change your plans. You probably don't sell off your rentals. You probably make some sort of a run.
So in late July you call them up?
No. So what I'm saying though is like he's not changing his plan right now. His plan going into this season was to obviously make improvements from last year, but he was not going to call these guys up before the Super 2 deadline. So it's not going to happen. We can argue and say that it should, but it's just not. When someone asks you on national TV, are you a legit contender this year? And the first word out of your mouth isn't absolutely. Instead, it's well, and then you go into excuses as to why you might not be. He does not have urgency to win games right now.
It's everybody can have their Neil Huntington and Ben Cherington comps. They're the same person. They run this team the same exact way. Nothing's changing there. They're going to do the same exact thing.
Yeah, they're gonna have
but
go ahead. They'll have differences in player development. Yeah, they'll have differences in player development and scouting, but for the most part, they are going to run the team the exact same way.
Even though apparently that's not what this new regime is about. Bob Nunning was fed up. We're going to create a culture. Player-centric even. It's about wins.
Yeah, that wasn't a Neil Huntington move, I don't think.
Well, yeah.
That's a story for another day.
Anyways.
What do we want to talk about next?
Donato's so dumb.
How about we shift focus to something positive? And
Yes.
I think there is
What's
some things
positive?
to let's talk
a 2-man
about.
show. Jim and Donato. Get Tyler off.
Okay.
How about all right, 2 things I want to talk about.
Might as well make it official.
Let's and Kenny's got it here. Let's talk about his man Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller in his last 30 starts has an ERA under 3. He has completely, we were on this exact show a month ago and we didn't know if Mitch Keller's career was over. Like we were like, is this it for Mitch Keller? Because he was
ago?
No, a year ago. Sorry. Maybe I said a month
okay.
ago, but I meant a year ago. A year ago at this time, we were like,
I'm not co-signing.
Yeah. So a year ago at this time, we were debating on if Mitch Keller was done, and so it's pretty incredible just to see the turnaround. because he's now, not only has he turned into the guy who can keep you in it gives you a chance to win every time out. We saw it last on Monday. He's a guy who can single-handedly win you a baseball game at this point. He's become that good of a starting pitcher. I don't know how many pitchers in the last 12 calendar months, or let's say 11 calendar months, have been better than Mitch Keller in Major League Baseball. I mean, he's a top 5, top 10 pitcher in the game since rejoining the rotation and kind of finding that sinker.
Yep. Remember, May 19th was the first time he threw the sinker. Now, albeit it was in the bullpen, but May 19th was the first time he threw the sinker. So we're approaching a year of good Mitch Keller. And you're absolutely correct. I know what I said. I said, if I'm a betting man, I am betting on Mitch Keller being DFA'd than Mitch Keller becoming a good pitcher. That's where I was at. Absolutely. And you're correct. And he's not even just, oh, you know what? Mitch Keller actually belongs in the major leagues. No, Mitch Keller's a dude. He's a good pitcher. He's a damn good pitcher. And we talk about guys who he has, but like change the course of this rebuild. Mitch Keller is one of them. Like, there's a lot on him. If he becomes a good pitcher, that there's a lot for this club, because I'm not sure where the pitchers are really coming from. Rodolfo Castro is one of them. He's a wild card. Luis Ortiz, like that's another wild card. And that's why Mitch Keller becoming good, it helps a lot, because if Luis Ortiz is also a good pitcher, like these guys coming out of nowhere is helping out. But Mitch Keller, he does a lot for this rebuild, and he's anchoring this staff right now. And you're absolutely correct. And he did it. He won that. This team was skidding in the worst way. Mitch Keller came out, still didn't have any offense behind him for the most part, and did a complete game shutout. What more can you ask?
I mean, just to read off some quick numbers. So since rejoining the rotation, it was May 31st last year. He's made 30 starts. He's thrown 170 innings. So, I mean, he's been a workhorse. 162 strikeouts. He's got a 3.07 ERA, FIP below 3.5. The guy he's been flat out good. Like, he's pitching at like an all-star caliber level right now, as far as like starting pitchers go. And that game he pitched on Monday just was incredible to see. I mean, he just flat out dominated that lineup the entire day. At no point was he really ever in trouble. He did what he wanted whenever he wanted, and especially the way he finished. Like, he went into those last 3 innings with a pretty fairly high pitch count, and he just rolled through the lineup that last time through, and it was just really impressive to see, because he's been a frustrating person for us over the last 4 years. He made his debut in 2019, I want to say, right?
Yeah.
Was it 2019?
I think it was 2019, and yeah, I think that's right.
You might be. I don't know.
So 2019 makes his debut, and like we see the stuff like this. We've seen the stuff all throughout the minors. He was a highly regarded prospect pretty much his entire way through, and he struggled for 3 years just to put things together. And the fact that he was able to turn it around in just an incredible turnaround. Like, I mean, there's that graphic that you see on Twitter every now and then. It was like he was last in everything.
He was the Austin Hedges of pitchers.
He was the worst starting pitcher in baseball a year ago today. And just to see the turnaround it's been pretty awesome.
Yeah. The other part of that is he's had just a weird career path in general. Like, his rookie year, I think he said 2019, it was very peripheral heavy. We thought, you know what? There's something there. He just had bad luck. Then 2020 comes around, COVID year. Well, it is what it is. 21, he's just
2020 flip-flopped. His ERA was actually good, and his peripherals were garbage.
But it wasn't good. 2021 comes around, bad. 2022 comes around, the velocity comes. We see the flip with a sinker. All of a sudden, he's like Charlie Morton light. And then this year, the sinkers, it still works for him, obviously, but he's a completely different pitcher than he was even last year. I know you had the strikeout number that you gave us for the over-under, but good Lord, the guy just turned into an absolute strikeout pitcher we always dreamed of.
He's killing that over. I thought about that too, though, Dad. I put out his numbers, and the first thing I thought when I saw his K rate, I was like, oh, damn, because I gave that number and I felt like it was aggressive, trying to get aggressive, falling the hype, and he's just blowing that number away.
Yeah,
he's just going with 30%.
He went from a ground ball pitcher to just being an absolute dominant dude.
And Tyler, you mentioned just how different he looks. Like the arsenal of pitches he now possesses too is incredible. He throws 5 different pitches more than 10% of the time, and then he sprinkles in that changeup as like a 6th pitch. The dude throws 6 pitches and he throws 5 of them a lot. Which like you just don't see that. And when you're able to do that and you're able to control all of those and you have command of all of those pitches, it makes hitting so hard. It makes hitting so hard when you've got a pitcher on the mound who can do so many things well. And that's what we're seeing now with Keller. He's doing so many things so well that pitchers hitters don't have a shot. Hitters don't have a shot against them lately.
And last year we talked about the conversation with Clay Holmes about the sinker, and we didn't really want to give Oscar Marie much credit. Well, now he's throwing like 3 different types of fastballs. So at some point we got to give Oscar Marie some credit, because even if Clay Holmes is the reason he started throwing that sinker, Oscar Marie has bridged that thing out to be able to throw a cutter. The 4-seam works now. The sinker works. Adding in a sweeper. The curveball's still sexy as hell. Like,
well, it's just
like that's at least talked about. I feel like that's where he's developed. Off of the minors, you kept hearing and talking about the curveball.
Yeah,
and like it's like you're saying, it's still good, but like that's the least you talk about anymore.
And it just goes back to the command. Like the command is excellent. You look at the heat map on his pitches, and everything's just where it should be. The sweeper is low and away against righties. The changeup is low and away against lefties. The curveball's down in the zone. The sinker is inside on right. Like everything's he's throwing everything, and he's throwing them where they should go. And when you're doing that, you just make it so tough on hitters. When the pitcher is doing what the pitcher wants to do, hitters don't have much of a shot. Hitters need to take advantage of mistakes, and Mitch Keller has vastly decrease the amount of mistakes that he's making, which he's dictating ball games. He has completely taken over the game when he starts. And it's just fun to see. It's fun to watch him.
Jim, we talked about it. Like when they're skidding, there's nobody else we want on the mound other than Mitch Keller.
Yep.
And I know I talked about this a little bit on the post game, but just kind of bring it up again. You know, there was, I think it was valid because we all kind of agreed, you know, with the changes in the shift, how would that affect Mitch Keller? Like there was real reason to think he might be the biggest one affected because of the ground balls. We talked like the sinker's good. He finds a way to induce that ground ball. He finds ways to get outs, right? But he's not like the strikeout guy. So with the band shift, Mitch Keller I still think could be good, but that might affect him more than most pitchers. And I was real interested to find out how it will and what his season will be this year. And he said, no, I'm just going to be even better. And like you're saying, like the strikeout, like that's what's killing me too. So yeah, last year, 20.1% strikeout rate. This year, 27.6. He's striking out 10.15 per 9. This is Mitch Keller we're talking about. He finds every way to make outs right now. We saw last year how he can do it by inducing weak contact and getting that. Now he's got the strikeout rate. Like everything you want to see in a good pitcher, Mitch Keller has all of those things right now.
And not to mention, he's just a workhorse. Like the guy can carry innings. He's got the body to do it. As it was mentioned in the comments, he's carrying 97 into the 8th, 9th. Like it's not Rowanzi where it's I don't want to say flash in the pan, but there's a lot of stuff that there's not much longevity with it. This is a guy that he has the stuff to really be a dude that can carry 200 innings a year.
He's starting to prove it. And I think the biggest difference too is you didn't want him to be that guy last year, right? Also, one thing we talked about on the post-game show. Okay, you made 7 good innings. Let's just get you out of here. I don't want, you know, to you implode, or let's just get you out of here feeling comfortable. And now it's like, go in the 8th.
You guys talked about it. Like
I
the
want
things
you
that
there.
the things Shelton's doing with him, I love. Shelton's really he's putting them out there. Like, you're the guy.
I want him to see that 9th inning so bad, and I'm so glad he did. And he just earned himself trust to all ends right there.
Yeah, like he has become that guy. He's become that starting pitcher that, like, every team wants a guy like that. He's tied with Zach Gallen in innings pitched. Who, you know, Zach Gallen's gone like twice now where he's gone like 30 consecutive scoreless innings. So like he's in that same conversation now with those types of guys. And there aren't a lot of pitchers out there who can just give you that amount of innings. And he has quickly become one of them. And again, we talked about this in April, when your starting pitchers are giving you innings, productive innings, it just makes your team so much better, because your bullpen, and no one's bullpen is really all that deep. So like if you can keep your bullpen and condense it and then shorten a game so that you only have to get 6 outs with your bullpen, or 3 outs with your bullpen, or 9 outs with your bullpen, it's a lot easier to do that and win when you can pick and choose, okay, who are my best guys to go out here to win this game? And Mitch Keller has become that starting pitcher where Mitch Keller starts, you're seeing Mitch Keller, you're seeing Colin Hollerman, you're seeing Robert Stevenson, you're seeing David Bednar. You're not really seeing anybody else.
And here it is. They're trying to find out which dog is in Mitch Keller. This is them live on the broadcast, because that's what Mitch Keller is now. He's got that dog in him.
That was so lame.
That was kind of lame, but he does. I mean, it's a completely different approach. Like, he's attacking hitters because he now has so much stuff, and he can command it so well that he's in attack mode. And when he's executing his game plan, he's dominant.
I know. And again, like, I just can't stop talking about it, because that's the biggest thing I think in his turnaround is just the mentality. I know people like to joke about and talk about it. You know, everyone wanted to be a psychologist before, but that's the biggest difference. He wanted to go into the 9th inning, where 2 years ago he would have been pooping his pants.
Yeah. The other part of that is when you actually have stuff you can believe in, when your fastball isn't flat as hell.
Right.
Like, that helps a good bit. But I go back to like 2013. The Pirates did not go on losing streaks because Francisco Liriano every 5th day would go out there and stop it. Momentum, they say, is as good as a starting pitcher. I don't know if I believe that, because I think it can leak over. Mitch Keller right now is putting a stop to all of that. It didn't really happen against the Rays because the defense just let him down, but he did his best. This Rocky series, he shoved it down their throat and watched.
Yep.
That was the best Pirates start I think I've seen in probably like 7 years.
Certainly his best start.
It's the best start that I can remember in like recent history, for sure.
But if you're going to be a good team, you really do need a guy like that can go out there. And if a couple guys don't have it, you need a guy in your rotation that's just going to put a stop to it. And coming into this year, I don't know if I know for a fact we didn't think Mitch Keller was that guy. We thought that he'd be a guy that could eat some innings for him and maybe just survive till next year. Right now, he's turned into that guy we always dreamed of.
I mean, he's reached his ceiling.
Yeah.
Like, as a prospect, if you,
right?
if you would have dreamt what Mitch Keller's ceiling was, it's this.
Yeah.
Took him a little longer to get there than we probably would have hoped, but he's
definitely
reached
would
it.
have hoped.
Yeah, like he's reached it. And so now you know you got to kind of shift your focus to, hey, it's hard to find really good pitchers.
Yeah.
Let's pay this guy and keep him around for a bit.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm all in.
I think you have to.
Yeah, I think if you don't get something done during the season, then this off season, then your goal is Keller and Cruz. Like that, those are your goals this off season.
Fun question. Would you rather sign Cruz or Keller?
Cruz. If I had to pick one.
Do we have to pick one?
I mean, if you're making me pick
I'm
one,
greedy.
if you're making me pick one, it's Cruz.
Just because how expensive pitching is, and not really knowing for sure what Cruz is, especially coming off the injury. Is O'Neal Cruz the shortstop?
Like, man, because it's an either or. Because this window, Cruz is at least here for how long, right? Where if I extend Keller, I also have Keller. I almost feel like if I have to just choose one, it might be Keller too. Because I'd rather, again, this window. Again, Jim, trust me. Listen, Jim, stop. I want Cruz here a long time too. He's giving that stupid dumb look. I know that look from Jim. Just because he muted his mic again. I'm the GM. I want to win. Like, yes, I want Cruz here long term, but I might not be here then. I need some win. I need some rings. And Keller fits in that window right now. I would love to have O'Neal Cruz here in 10 years, but I'm more interested in the next 3 to 5. So that's my mindset on it. That's why I would say Keller, because I have to pick one. But I'm a good GM. I'm bringing up Endy today. I'm bringing up Davis today, and I'm extending both of them because that's what a good GM would do.
I'm going to shoot myself.
You know what?
I think if
I'm not
asked,
stopping there. I'm also
man.
signing, extending Davis and Endy too.
I think if I am asked,
Super 2.
If I am asked right now in the Pirate situation, I think I'm leaning Keller. But if you can get, it all comes down to numbers. If you can get like an O'Neal Cruz at a Ronald Acuna number, hell yeah. You won't though.
You will. I feel like you will.
I feel like you will too. And I mean, you have got this injury too that just happened to him. Like,
if that's
guaranteed
on the table,
$100 million, $100 million of like guaranteed money. Like, I think you can get him to sign a pretty team friendly deal. But at the same time, it's a risk because it's going to be lengthy.
Don't listen to Nardo. He's keeping 4 catchers on the roster.
But see, Endy and Henry equal 1.
That's not really how math works, though.
Yeah, they're half of a catcher.
The math ain't mathing.
They're only catching twice a week, so that's why it can work.
No, I'm just more concerned with, like, I mean, Cruz is the guy. I want Cruz to be a Pittsburgh Pirate for 15 plus years.
So you don't want Keller?
I didn't say I don't want Keller. If you make me choose,
that's what you're saying.
If you make me choose,
get out of here. I don't want you to
Cruz.
I'm gonna be. I think there's too much bustification with Cruz.
Nah, Cruz is always going to be able to hit. He's going to be able to hit.
Okay.
I believe in Cruz. I believe in his talent.
I do too, again, but I don't know long term.
I have one. I'm taking Keller because boom, there's my window. When I get my championship, my contract runs out, I'm going to the Yankees because they're tired of Cashman.
All right. Well, that's why you're managing the TFL Marlins.
That's right. I have no idea what my record is. That's how good of a manager I am. I probably
Speaking
have 7
of which,
catches.
I am 5-0 in my fantasy league. I am so good.
All right, we're not. Stop it.
I'm so good.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need to go into fantasy.
I'm just
baseball.
so good. I'm so smart. Like I don't know why people are dumb. I don't.
You know
get
why
it.
I know you're smart? You keep it real dark there so people can't tell how ugly you are.
No, I'm beautiful.
Anyways,
People love me.
We're clear the point of the show or this is going off the rails even more than normal. Is there anything? Bring us back, Jim. Come on, Dad.
Real quick, just to update everybody on the situation, DiNardo's Stratomatic team is in last place.
I'm in a rebuild. Of course. Yeah, that was expected. I'm not calling up my Henry Davis right now.
Oh, so you're a bad
all
Jim.
the Super Twos. Actually, I signed Josh Van Meter this offseason.
He really did. He signed free agent Josh Van Meter. He's currently 14-24, last place in the National League East. His team's terrible.
What's funny too is I signed Josh Van Meter because he now gives me catcher innings. So he's my third catcher. Yes, I do have 3 catchers.
Oh god.
Josh Van Meter.
Well, you suggested 4.
See? It's in my blood. Give me all the catchers.
Oh man. Just let this guy host a basketball show. He don't know ball. He don't know ball.
Anyways.
I think it's time to wrap things up.
Yeah, it is. And we really need to talk about Connor Joe. Just as a footnote, Connor Joe, he's still doing it. I'm loving
Not on the bases, though.
He's not?
No.
What did I
miss? Thrown out. He got caught stealing twice.
Okay. Everyone did, though, too. Also, another stat, the Pirates lead in May. That's not good.
Somehow he went 0 for 4 with 2 caught stealings. I don't know if that's ever happened, but we should look that up.
It probably has. Anyways, okay. I guess we're done. Is this it, fellas?
Let's get out of here.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thanks for listening to this trash.
See you all.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.